This is a quick introduction to the final practicum project, which will be your final grade for Mate 3051. It includes 4 different parts. There will be one part where you will work with your teaching partner. Now, we understand you cannot meet face-to-face, so we're being very flexible with the different ways in which you can collaborate with your teaching partner. Make sure that whatever way you decide to do, that you are able to somehow record that conversation, whether it be an audio recording, video recording, or a transcription of a messaging app that you decide to do. During this interaction, you will need to have assessment notes from the formative assessments. Make sure that you watch your recent debrief podcast and also answer the questions below. So there are 3 different questions below, and make sure that you answer these in detail with your teaching partner. Now, part 2, you will anticipate student strategies for the word problem that you create. And in this, there will be a chart for you to fill out. Part 3, you're going to write your lesson plan. Now, I understand you're not going to be able to teach it, but we do want to see evidence that you can now write your lesson plan so that it is responsive to the needs of your students. So that's all the different directions. I know it seems like a lot, but you've done the lesson plans before, and we're just adding in some additional information for what we expect for each part of the lesson plan. You'll notice something new this time around is in the Explore section. So you will have to have at least 2 questions for each child in your group. So you're going to write a question, and let's say, for instance, this student, Corey, is usually a student who has an incomplete solution, meaning the child typically just provides a number without giving any additional information without a prompt from you. So you may decide to put this example in the student has an incomplete or incorrect solution category, and it just says, how did you think about that? And in parentheses, you write the student's name. So you chose Corey for this one because he usually answers with a number and does not provide additional information without prompting. So you will need to have 2 different questions for Corey as well as 2 questions for each child in your group. Make sure that in this section you also have the extension to student thinking. Once they have their solutions, how will you then extend their thinking? And then how will you sequence the discussion part? So you're going to think about all the different strategies your students might use, and then how might you decide to sequence this? And there's an example provided for what this might look like depending on your word problem. And then you have the discussion part of the lesson, which you'll need to make sure to bring out the lesson goal. The last part of this is a written response. There are general reflections from the practicum experience. There are 4 different categories here. The first one is about using data to drive your instructional decisions. We've used data through the formative assessments and analyzing student work, and that's supposed to inform what you decide the following goal will be for the next lesson. So your ability to launch a mathematical task, that is something that I would like for you to reflect on and think about how it has changed from the first lesson through to this 3rd lesson. We've also talked about how to elicit student thinking. So what questions might you ask and why? As well as the facilitative methods, which is the Launch, Explore, Discuss lesson plan format, rather than direct instruction. And I want you to think about what kind of strengths you have learned through this particular format of teaching. On the bottom of this, the directions, there's a grading rubric for every single part. I highly suggest that you go in and grade yourself before you submit this project. Now, to make this even easier for you, if you scroll all the way to the top, it says you should use this template link to complete the project. So what you're going to turn in will be this particular paper. Just go in and save it under your name, type in your name. Once again, here's the link for the directions we were just on, and you're gonna just post everything here. So whatever link you have to the recording of your teaching partner, if it is a transcript, you can paste the transcript in here. Then for the anticipating student strategies, the chart is right here for you. Go ahead and just type directly into the box and fill in what you need to. Then you have your lesson plan format. Notice here that this is for people in our classes who might be teaching kindergarten or who might be teaching first grade. We already put the standards in there for you. Just make sure to delete whichever one you're not going to use. So if you teach kindergarten, then delete the first grade. If you're teaching first grade, delete kindergarten. And you're just going to fill out this lesson format all the way to the end, and then you have part 4 here, and for each of those different questions, you're just going to type right next to the here. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to Ms. Belfort or me, and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can.